Hello everyone and welcome to WWE What Could Be. Come along with me as we take a trip to my fantasy booking mind palace and we examine this specimen. This is a Braun Strowman. He's a big boy who likes to go "Ugh," and also has a very, very unfortunate haircut. Now, Braun Strowman was a part of the Wyatt family who was split up during the draft. Braun was sent to Raw for reasons only known to Vince McMahon. And well, the rest of us know those reasons, so Vince can just look at those big, rippling muscles. Ugh. But today we're going to think about what could be the reason for Braun alone. Now, the rules for this WWE could be no squash matches. Now, I know it looks like the current plan for Braun is to enhance him, but I think nature did a good enough job enhancing this man on its own. We will add in one new member to the Wyatt family over the course of this. We'll be taking Braun off TV for a little bit around SummerSlam, and we'll be wrapping the whole thing up by Survivor Series. Now, the crucial things that we know about Braun Strowman: he's a big boy, he goes "Weh," and he likes to smash things. But we also know he is brought in as part of the Wyatt family. Now, the Wyatts are meant to be portrayed as this kind of cult. Now, where this gets a little conflicted with a cult leader and his cult is the whole draft. Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan were drafted to SmackDown, where Braun was drafted to Raw. This doesn't make sense why a cult leader would allow himself to be separated like that. We need to give Braun a reason that he's on his own. So, in a backstage segment with a couple minor faces, we have Braun crash it. He beats the crap out of them, bangs on his chest, beckoning them to come at him. He then gets a hold of a microphone after a startled reporter, either Tom Phillips or Renee, asks him, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" "Bray gave me a mission. They thought I came here because they told me to. I only do what Bray Wyatt commands. And Bray Wyatt commands, I find Sister Abigail's ram." Everyone is scared because this mountain of a man just beat the crap out of everybody. We have given Braun a purpose. He's meant to find this ram character. One of the best things about the Wyatts is this kind of flock iconography they have. Again, harkening to the cult leader gimmick. The next week, now that Braun has his mission, he decides that he's going to openly challenge the locker room, because the only way he can find the ram is Bray told him the ram will be able to overpower Sister Abigail's black sheep. So he needs to find someone who can overpower him. So he throws out an open challenge to anyone that thinks they can topple him. And for our purposes, overpowering will be knocking Braun off his feet. So the usual suspects over the next couple weeks: Big Show and Mark Henry accept the challenge. Then the night after SummerSlam, he throws out the challenge again, and it's answered by the Social Outcast. Now, we are going to get a little bit silly with what we're about to do, but it's going to serve the overall plot. Big Show and Mark gave him a good match, but he was able to overpower them. The Social Outcast try and outspeed him, and it eventually gets to the point with, due to some admittedly Tom and Jerry-esque hijinks, Bo Dallas crawls behind Braun, and Curtis Axel drop kicks Strowman. He trips over Bo and falls over. As they proceed to go to a Bo train, Strowman loses it. He brutally attacks both Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, to the point where he ends up choking them both out and carrying them out of the arena. This leads to Strowman beginning to abduct people who've accepted his challenge, including those two, Big Show, Mark Henry. All 5 of these wrestlers aren't seen on TV for a good while. We won't be seeing Strowman for about 2 months. Now, the main purpose for this is, of course, the Ram character kind of needs to get a nice bushy beard to be a part of the Wyatts. But it also keeps Strowman strong, but it'll keep him fresh when he comes back. And when he comes back at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Preferably in a Hell in a Cell match that Bray's been involved in. But the scene I'd like to set would be Bray in the cell against someone or a couple people. Maybe an Armageddon-style 6-man Hell in a Cell. I don't know, let's try something crazy. The lights go out, the Wyatt shows up, and then on the screen all you see is a ram mask sitting on the floor, and then text above it reads, "The ram has been found." The lights come back up, Strowman is in the cell, and he destroys everyone in the cell, throwing them through the cell, breaks everything down, and finally turns to Wyatt, kneels. We want to start this connection back up between Strowman and Wyatt, because this will really help in the next bit. Because with the news that Braun has returned after having found the ram, Bray and Braun go roughshod over both shows. On Raw, Braun is beating up everybody, interrupting matches, causing chaos. Bray and Eric on SmackDown are doing the same. It gets to the point where both sets of authority figures need to come together because they need to get rid of the Wyatts, or at least get them contained. They devise at Survivor Series that there will be a collaboration between Raw and SmackDown to try and contain the Wyatts. Neither authority figure wants the Wyatts on their show, but they do want them to be causing this destruction on the other show. And Bray wants control of his family back. The stipulation is set. If the Wyatts win, then Bray controls what shows what Wyatts are on. If the super team from Raw and SmackDown win, the superstar from the brand that gets the winning pinfall will determine where the Wyatts go. Now, the super team is made up of people who have had past run-ins with the Wyatts: John Cena, Roman Reigns, Dolph Ziggler, and Xavier Woods. Xavier and Dolph really need the kind of rubber beat in this, and John Cena and Roman Reigns can really help sell this as a big draw. We then come to Survivor Series, where it starts as a 3-on-4 match, with Wyatts only having Braun, Bray, and Eric out there. Even with that, they're still a formidable team. Braun is able to eliminate Dolph Ziggler and Xavier Woods, keep him looking strong, like we need to in case we decide we just want him to be on Raw. Leaving just John Cena and Roman Reigns, they do start making a comeback, and then the lights go out, and we see on the Titantron the same image of the Ram mask on the floor, and then we see someone begin to approach it, pick the mask up, then the camera fades up to seeing the mask on their face, and all they say is, "I'm here." Do happens again. When the lights come back on, man in the Ram mask is standing in the ring. Roman and John Cena were looking at the Tron, turn around. Roman gets blasted by a spear from the Ram. Before John can think to help, Bray turns around, hits him with Sister Abigail. Bray and the Ram pin their opponents at the same time. Then as the bell goes off, Ray reaches over, grabs the whole of the Ram mask to reveal Bo Dallas. Yes, we have brought the Rotunda boys together. It was only a matter of time. Now what you can do from here is a lot of things. You can send Bo and Braun back to Raw, with Bo being the mouthpiece for Braun, which is something he desperately needs. As good as this sounds, it does sound really scary, but it's kind of hard to make out. Or you can have the Wyatts collect on one brand, either SmackDown or Raw, and when you bring Luke Harper back, you can again have them run roughshod on the brand. Have them collect all the belts because they want all the power. You can do a lot with this. That being said, what's actually going to happen with poor Braun? He's going to be in squash match after squash match until people get tired of him, because it's really boring to watch a big muscly guy beat up on a non-muscly guy. Ask Ryback. But I'll ask you to do this. Just think about what could be.